reading book on pausing and money. Written by me, Eric Wadell. First draft, November 2025. Chapter 7. Long-term situation. When we make plans for or feel urgency about our long-term future. How important is money for our long-term plans? The question appears almost as ridiculously obvious when we see it on paper like this. Of course, money is important for our long-term plans, perhaps one of the most important things there is. But what we are interested in here is looking at why it is so important. What makes it so important? And what other important things in life must stand back because of it? We all need options in life, and we want to have many good options. If we would be restricted and have too many of our good options taken away from us, we would lose hope and wither. Arguably, the most practiced form of punishment between humans throughout history has been incarcerations, bans, and prohibitions, all different ways to physically remove a person from their options in life. If we would do something contrary to popular will, then the collective would in turn try to take options away from us. When we make our long-term plans, we make preparations for our options. We will sometimes try to add options, and at other times try to improve upon the quality of options that we already have. What particular options we actually want and how we want them to feel is due to personal preferences. And these personal preferences are interesting to look at. We are interesting people in that we are unique and that our specific set of options is special to only us. There is great value in pausing with this. There is great value in pausing with our special set of options. Our options, as well as our pausing with them, is the foundation upon which we make our long-term plans. Note here that the options in themselves is only half of our foundation, and that the other half is our pausing with them. This would explain why we all also prefer certain restrictions to our options, if the restrictions have the quality of helping us to pause meaningfully. This would explain why some people even prefers extreme forms of incarceration over freedom, if the incarceration helps the person to pause, then it is a net positive thing for them. In chapter 2, we found that money is how we assign a number to, exchange with one another, hold over a sustained period of time, and negotiate for cooperation or deception what is abstract. And all this effort of ours makes up our future plans. Our future is unknown and therefore abstract. If money is the answer to make our options as well as our pausing feel meaningful, then money is the way to go. If money makes our options and our pausing feel less meaningful, then there must be another, better way to go. Pausing in our long-term situation. Pausing for our long-term situation can be regarded as 3 consequent steps. First, we need to pause to find our priorities in life. So we sit down and ask ourselves, what is the most important thing for us? What is the one thing that makes our life feel vibrant, like music, and like it makes sense for us personally? Simply pausing with this contemplation will create order. It will help us identify up as up and down as down. It will become our North Star and compass. If we cannot find a clear answer on our first try pausing with this, we wait for some time and come back again to the same question. What is the one thing that makes the most sense to us? Asking this question repeatedly will eventually lead to some kind of answer, albeit vague in the beginning. Second, we need to make our answer real. And for that, we make use of pen and paper. It is perhaps the simplest form of making a subtle inclination tangible. So we pause and sit down with pen and paper and write down a sketch-like version of our thoughts. Making our thoughts and plans real like this on paper will make the plans want to repeat and develop themselves. What has been made real once wants to be made real again. This is the underlying logic. In time, our long-term plans will become more detailed as well as more clear. The key is determination and consistency. Third, we need to find our pacing. Think about the antique Greek fable by Aesop about the hare and the tortoise. Slow and steady wins the race for the long-term tortoise. In my native country, Sweden, we make use of a term called LAGOM. LAGOM is when something is just right. Not too much, but not too little either. This is what we want to consistently be looking for when taking our steps forward long term, to have it feel lagom. So when faced with any two or more given options, we will try, if possible, to choose the one option that feels not too much but not too little either. Sometimes, unfortunately, there are no lagom options, but only options bad and worse. In such cases, we have no choice but to choose a bad option, and we will then have to clean up the losses and disappointments afterwards. All we can do then is pause and honor our best efforts. These 3 steps is how we pause with our long-term situation. In summary, first, finding our North Star. Second, sketching it down on paper. And third, taking steps towards it that feel lagom. Long-term money. There seems to be many different long-term ways of making use of money. Some of us like to make as much money as possible. Others of us like to make just enough to live on. Some of us like to make about the same amount of money as the people we live with. And others of us like to make a lot more or a lot less money than the people we live with. As we began our reasoning about money in chapter 2, money is a way of relating to the abstract differences in perspective between us people. Yes, we may quantify, name, physically bind and frame in words and symbols the differences between us. But we may also do it in other ways than through money. Say that you are meeting with a new person. Now, do you engage them through a transaction of money, or do you keep them in your thoughts? Do you buy something from them, or do you try to take the perspective of the other? Do you invest money in a shared venture, or do you build something together that exists in a shape beyond money? Do you address the profession of the person, or do you address the personal name of the person? Do you act reactively or pause together? Do you walk down the well-known track or explore something new? What constitutes money is always changing. New people making new things with money. And new infrastructure always changing what money can and cannot be. And we are the same. We are always changing. Sometimes in visible leaps, and at other times unnoticeably. What makes up long-term money is a lifelong thing. Some of us start out with little money and then build up a fortune. Others of us start out with a lot of money to then later live a life of modest means. Still, some of us like to try out a contrasting way of relating to money, but for a limited period of time only. Perhaps to explore something about what really makes us, us. We pause and ask ourselves, what is the one thing that makes the most sense to us? If our answer necessitates more money, then more money it is. If our answer necessitates less money, then some creative alternative to money it is.